Before we begin our painting, you will need to get all of your art supplies together. I suggest a chip brush, a flat brush, round brush, also having something that you can have as a palette. Make sure you have all your paints together and your water and a paper towel or a rag. On your canvas, you'll see the registration lines that are given for you to be able to paint. We're going to start with a large flat brush, get it wet, and we're going to go just along the top of the tree line. We're going to be working on the sky, so we want that area to be very wet. I do suggest that you have your painting laying flat for this stage to prevent the water from dripping. It's not necessary to use an easel unless you really prefer it. The easels are usually meant for something a little bit larger than an 11 by 14. Cover the entire sky area, and that also means going where those palm frond registration lines are drawn. It's quite all right to paint over that. Just make sure that area is very wet. Next, we will be getting a yellow and an orange ready. Get a little water on your brush and dip a little bit into the orange. We're going to add it to where we've added the water, concentrating most of the orange on the left side of the painting, just above the tree line, and let it bleed out into the water. We want it to be very soft and ethereal, so let the water do the work. You can have a little bit over to the right, but keep it very, very light on the right side of your painting and more heavy on the on the left. And clean your brush out, and we're going to pick up some yellow. And we're going to add it just to the left side there, above the tree line. Imagine that the sun has gone down, and so that is the brightest area where that yellow and that deep orange are. And just let the water do its work. You can add a little bit into the rest of the sky. Just play around with it. There's no rhyme or reason to it. But towards the right side, just keep it very, very faint. A lot of water, less paint. You can add more water if you'd like. And just keep blending it and let the water do its job. So if you can imagine, those are clouds in the sky. And how the colors drift across the sky. Now we are going to open the white. I'm going to take a little smaller brush, get some water on it. We're going to dip it in the white. We're going to put it right where the sun might be peeping, just above that tree line. Just a little bit of white. You can even kind of round it out right there to kind of give you the idea that that is the sun that is just below the tree line. Clean your brush out and grab your larger brush, again, the one you were already using, and just kind of blend it. My brush is still damp. You can do this either with a little bit more water if you need, or you can just do it with a little drier brush, but just blend. I'm adding a little bit more white into the sky because white, when you add it to that, makes it a little bit more opaque, and I just kind of wanted the idea that there were still clouds up there. Now we're going to add a little water. I'm using the larger brush, but you can use a smaller brush if it's more control. And where the water is, not where the land is, but where the water is in the scene, we're going to add our paint water. And it's okay if your paint water is a little stained. That's okay, because all it's stained with is that orange and yellow, which are the colors that we're going to be using in the water anyway. So we're just adding water to the area where the actual water is. We're going to go down about 2/3 of the way on the canvas. So I've stopped in that center section. I'm going to add a little water, or a little white, just below where the sun is, but in the water. So a little below the horizon line, because water is a reflection of the sky. So we are actually mirroring the sky in the water. So what you've painted above, you are actually painting below. I'm going to pick up a little orange, and I'm going to add that to that area where the water is. Again, imagine it's reflecting the sky above. So where there was orange in the sky, there's going to be orange in the water below. Add more water to it if you need to. I'm going to pick up a little yellow now. Got a smaller brush for more detail, more control. I'm just going to add a little yellow to where that orange is and where that white is, just to repeat what we see in the sky, but only in the water below. And keep your brush going horizontally, because that's how the water flows. Now pick a bigger brush for that larger area of water, and get a little more damp again too, because it tends to dry fast. Now I'm going to pick up some of the orange. Again, keep the orange over the bright, rich orange closer to the left side of your painting, because that's where the reflection of that deep orange is. And we can fade it out with water to the other side. So most of the color is on the left side of that orange and the yellows, just below the sky. I'll pick up a little bit more yellow and add it as the mirror image from above, the reflection in the water from the sky. Keeping my brush going back and forth horizontally. I'm going to pick up a little bit more yellow and add that to the water. Now I'm going to get some hot pink or fuchsia. We're going to add with a larger brush some hot pink up in the upper right hand corner of your painting. Again, allow the water to do its job. So keeping lots of water helps. We're going to add a little bit below where the pink is in the upper right. It's going to be in the lower right part of the water below, because it's mirroring that image. Add lots of water to blend it and soften it between the orange and the pink. I'm going to add more water below because I had stopped earlier. We're going to go over the water area at the bottom portion of your canvas. Just add lots of water. Again, it doesn't matter if it's stained. If the water is stained, as long as it's not brown, we're good. The water should be orange and yellow. And that's quite all right. It actually makes it look really nice. We just want the area to be nice and wet so that when we add the paint to it, it'll just blend very, very pretty, very nicely, and look more natural. Don't want any harsh lines in our water. So picking up some of the pink, we're going to go over on the left side and just let it puddle out. Just let it puddle out. Add lots of water. If you have lots of water on your canvas, you should be able to just spread it out without even having to add more paint. Imagine you're just stirring it. I'm going to add a little white just up to the sky. Now this is just my own preference, just because I felt like it needed it. But you don't need that unless you want to add it. Now I'm going to add some purple. So get your purple ready. I'm going to use that large brush still. We're going to add it to the lower left. So really far down in the lower left, we're going to add some purple. There's no mistakes in this. This is just use your own discretion. You can drag it across the bottom, but just keep the color. Don't add a lot of paint. Add more water if you need to. You can blend that purple in. If you feel it needs a little bit more purple up close to the body of land, you can do that. If it to blend, you can add more water. We're going to add a little bit of that purple to the sky as well, up in the upper right hand corner. I'm going to add some purple to the sky. Blend it in with that pink. I'm going to add a little bit more water to it so that it will soften and blend. We don't really want to get that purple into the yellow, because if you mix the purple and the yellow, you're going to end up with mud. We try not to do that, so keep the purple into the pink area. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit of white just to keep it separated from that yellow, so I don't end up with mud in my sky. That would not be pretty. Just blend it. Pick up a little bit more purple, make it a little bit more deep down below. Remember to keep your brush going right to left on the water, but on the sky, it's okay to have your brush go in different directions. Just cleaning up my brush, and I'm going to get the blue next. I'm going to pick up the blue with the large brush again, large flat brush. I'm going to run it along the lower right hand corner, all the way across on the very bottom, a little bit on the left, and then we're going to put a little in the sky up in the upper right hand corner. Don't add it to the left, only add it to the right. On the sky. And just blend it into the water. Beautiful, rich jewel tones in the sky and in the water. And clean the brush out. I'm going to open the black. We're going to pick up a little bit of the black, and we're going to go to the lower right hand corner and just deepen it in. It doesn't take a lot, just a little bit. I'm going to deepen it across the bottom of the painting. Put a little bit on the left hand side too. Just a little bit, just to deepen it. You're not getting a black blob, just a little bit of depth. I'm going to pick up a little bit more and make it a little richer in that right hand side. And clean the brush out. Go with a dark green. Don't need these other colors. So go ahead and close them up. I'm going to stick with the dark green. And we're going to use our palette. Take a little smaller brush. Scoop out some of the dark green onto a palette. You can use a paper plate. You can use a ceramic plate if you'd like, because it's washable. We're going to mix a little bit of black in with that green just to make it really dark. little bit more green. In Charleston, we call this Charleston green, where it's almost black, but it is still green. We're going to go right along the horizon line. So that line right there, you got to paint right along there with that really dark green. And just follow the line. And now we're going to fill in the tree line. Just follow along the line. Make sure it's not like even. You can use a little bit of a fluff to it. Imagine those are trees. The tops of trees are not even. Nothing in nature is even and straight. Man-made things are straight, like buildings and things such as that. The only thing straight in nature is the horizon line. But imagine as you are painting this is trees. So you're going to see all different sizes. Not everything's going to be the same. It's not going to be balanced. You're going to have some big, some small, and you want to mix it up so that it's not boring. So the tree line gets a little higher up here on this side. And you notice we painted this onto the canvas dry. So we did not pre-wet the canvas where the tree line was. That was only for the water and the sky. And straighten up the line just a little bit. Over here. Next, we're going to open red. We're going to get some red. And we're not using red straight on our painting. We are actually going to mix it with the green. And we're going to get a very deep burgundy, brown, rich. Go just below the tree line on this body of water, body of land right here. Right along the horizon line below the tree line. Gonna go across there. It divides the water from the trees. Continue painting the body of water. And filling that area in. I am painting dry on the canvas, but sometimes you do need a little bit of water just to get your paint to flow. So I'm just adding a little water to my brush just to make it flow a little easier. But we're filling that entire area in with brown, that rich burgundy brown of the red and the green, and a little bit of black actually. The more water that you add, the lighter that the color gets. And that's fine. It needs to be darker towards that horizon line, but towards the front it can get a little bit lighter. And just continue filling in that body of land. brush and pick up a little bit more paint off my palette and fill the left side in where the land is. Clean my brush out. I'm going to pick up more of the green, that dark green. We're going to do the body of land, the larger body of land below with that dark green. Decided to use a little larger brush because it's a wider area. And fill that all in with that dark green. Add a little bit of that rich brown into it too, towards the bottom. Just kind of give it a little variation. Now we're going to fill in those little areas where there's just a little bit of grassy area that peeps out from the marsh. You can add this anywhere you'd like in your body of water. There's a couple registration marks to show you where you can put them, but you're welcome to add more if you need. I'm even going to go down here on the left-hand corner. I'm going to add a little bit of land right there, a little bit of, just a touch, because we're going to have some seagrass popping up out of that anyway. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black with a larger brush, and I'm just going to kind of give it a little bit more depth in the front. Use your discretion. This is your painting. If you don't want to use the black, you don't have to. But I wanted to add a little bit more depth because this is as the sun's going down and you see silhouettes in a lot of dark areas. So I'm adding this black in this area of where land is, putting a little bit more up close to the tree line as well, just because it needs just a little bit of something. And also here on the bottom where the land meets the water, can add a little there, just so it's not flat. You can add a little water to it just to kind of blend it into the green so you don't have anything harsh. This is your painting, so if you think it needs a little black, use a little black. If you think it needs a little bit more green, feel free to use a little bit more green. I'm going to use a light green too. It's more of a lime color green. If you don't have this, you can add yellow to your green that you already have. But again, I don't want anything to look flat, so I'm just adding a little bit of that light yellow green into it just to kind of give it some dimension. In a minute, this is going to look just like seagrass. Even decided just to extend it out just a little bit longer. You can do that if you'd like. We can keep it just where it's at. But I wanted the body of land to come out just a little bit farther into the water. Now I'm going to use the chip brush. Get a little bit of water on it. And we're going to brush it up just like grass. Imagine that's grass. Just keep brushing it. A chip brush is good for things like this because it's got a uneven, ragged edge, and it prevents you from doing everything where it all looks the same size and height, because grass is never the same size and height. I do it towards the back too. Give it a look of texture. And do it all along all the land, because that's actually grass. You can do it right there on that part where it's sticking up out of the water, and don't worry about it if it's, comes down below, because that's okay. In a natural setting with marsh, it does that. It's okay. A little bit of grass here, a little bit of grass there. Even down here in the lower right-hand corner. You're literally brushing. It's like a comb. Imagine it like hair, like you're brushing grass. That is what you're doing. It's very therapeutic, very relaxing to do this part of it. If you do not have a chip brush and you only have just a regular flat brush, you can still achieve this effect. You just have to be careful that it's not all looking even. You can come down in that left-hand corner too, and you can add a little bit of that grass with the brush. It doesn't have to have a lot of paint. Pick up my larger brush. I'm just going to soften the edge between the water and the land. The land's going to reflect into the water like little shadows, little waves that are coming off. Little ripple effect right off the edge of the bottom where the land meets the water. I didn't add more paint at that stage. I just added more water, but now I'm going to add just a little bit of black into that. Just to kind of give that look of the ripple. No harsh lines, just real soft. You can add it underneath all those little bodies of land. Gives it cast a shadow. Add a little bit more black under here. Dark area where the gators hide. We have a lot of gators here in Charleston, so as you notice, it doesn't take much paint. You don't want to like blob a bunch of black on it. It's more important to have water with that black. We don't want it to overpower. I'm just using it very lightly. I'm going to add just a little bit more depth down here in the right hand corner with some black. But you eye it. Do what you feel looks natural. A little bit more black on the left side at the bottom. Coming into that hot pink. Just blend it. Blend, blend, blend. Just going to pick up a little bit of the white and brighten up some of that area where the orange and yellow is. Just going to add a little bit of the white into it. You can skip this step if you want to, but it adds that opacity that I mentioned earlier, and I want to mirror the sky above it. So I'm just adding a little bit of white, kind of give it a highlight. Clean my brush out. Just snag a little bit more green and put it on my palette with a smaller brush. Add a little bit of black to it again so I get that darker green like we did before. And using the side of my brush, I'm going to paint some grasses. If you need to, get a little bit more water. You want it more of an ink-like consistency when you're doing this. And make your grasses go all different directions. Make them different heights. Do down in the right hand side and put a few down there as well. Now we're going to do the palm fronds. So you got your lines, little registration lines. You can follow those, or if you want to put them in another spot, you can do that too. So you're just gonna, it's almost the same as the seagrass, but it's, you do a center and then you have the palm fronds falling and draping below. Make them different lengths, make them twist and turn. If you use the side of your brush and not the flat, you can achieve this look. And if you pull up just at the ends, you can get a little bit of a point because they do come to a little point. Stack and layer them too. There's going to be some of them in front and there's going to be some of them in behind. It's more than one palm frond, so you're going to have them on top of each other, and that is the way you want it to look. You don't need them to be side by side and not bumping each other. They are right on top of each other. Just have fun. You don't have to have the exact number. Imagine that the palms are, part of it is off out of our view of the painting, so we're still going to be able to see some of them coming onto the edge. You don't have to paint the entire frond. I'm going to do the right side too. So that center main vein, and then all the little palm fronds that fall from there. Not sure what you call them exactly. The whole thing is called a palm frond, so I'm not sure what each little leaf is called, but they're long and they're very sharp. This painting is actually based on a photo that I took at Edisto Island, which is part of the Charleston area right on the coastline. It's where my husband proposed to me. And just continue painting wherever you would like to put them. The registration marks that are on your canvas are there for your reference, but if you don't want them there, you can put them in another spot. The more water that you add to it, the lighter that the color will get. Now we're going to add just a little bit of grass to that body of land below. Variety is a spice of life, so don't keep everything the same height. Some grass is taller than others. Going to do a little bit more detail on the grasses, on these little spots that are just peeping up out of the water. And you can even go back and use your chip brush and kind of blend it. Again, if you do not have a chip brush, that's okay. You can even use a toothbrush for this if you'd like. And pick up a little black with that green again and just kind of give it some more depth. My paint was getting kind of light and I still want that dark look. Add some grass. Those little itty bitty spots, they look like you could step on them, but you really can't. They're really just grass growing up from the bottom of the water up through. So you would think just kind of blending it into the water a little bit, little pieces of grass that pop up out of the water. Little fish and gators, they love hiding in this area. That's why you don't swim in this area. You can boat through it, but you don't want to swim. And when you boat through it, you want to make sure that you go when there's high tide, because low tide, you'll just get bogged down. I'm going to pick up a little bit more black here again, just because I want more depth. Just like I did before. If you work light, you can always add lots of layers and keep building it. But it's hard to take it away. It's easier to build the color. I'm going to add a little bit more of the green and the dark in that first body of water, or that first little section of land. I'll pick up some more green with my large brush, a little bit more black. And just go along the bottom there where the land meets the water. And then back here, it was a little too light for my taste, so make it a little darker green. A little darker down here. Just wanted it to be darker. As it dries, it gets lighter. The paint dries lighter. So adding a little bit more Get a little darker back here too, because it just got a little lighter. And I'm gonna add, just brushing it up like that to give it that look of grasses. You're not gonna see the detail the farther away it is. So, you know, just keep it very faint. And just blending it. Take that along the tree line too, give it a little bit more depth in some areas. I'm going to add a little bit more of that grass, that dark area into the water, make it look like a little grass. Brush up. Below. I'm just going to use a flat brush and just kind of make it look like there's more grass popping up out of the water in various locations. Makes it look more natural. Right along here, I'm going to add a little bit more grass popping up out of the water. Do it right in this area. I think we could use another little dark spot of grass there. And just wherever you feel like it would be natural to have a little bit of grass popping up out of the water. A little dark area there. Just have fun with it. No one's going to count how many blades of grass that you've put in your painting, or how many little pieces of bodies of land that are there, how many palm frond leaves there are. Just kind of blending it now, just a little softening and blending. I don't want any harsh edges, so I'm softening those edges too. This is a good spot for some grassy area. Another little grassy area right there. Gotta give the gators a place to live. We don't want them living next to our homes. Not right next to them anyway. I've had that happen. And they are fast, despite what people think. They are fast. I'm gonna add a little bit more of that dark green up here, because as it dried, it got a little light, and I just want it to be a little darker. Just blending out the edges a little bit. Now you can sign your painting.